Hi. So I was watching a video today from Twitter, and it was a guy in Jordan, in the Middle East, talking to some other men in the street about what they thought about their sister getting a job, or working late, and it was quite shocking, to be honest. I didn't realize just how intertwined that belief system was around women's place in society. I was quite shocked hearing some of the guys talk about like they would kill their sister or kill a woman if they were working because it challenged their honor. And I was just like, whoa, wow, and it's like really adamant that this was okay. And it, 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 it challenged me in a way where if if we want to um, live in harmony with like a culture that respects women and if they can do what they want to do, um, versus a counterculture where women stay in the home and not allowed to get a job. I think this being able to um, communicate that we no longer accept women being in a lesser position, not equal. Um, Trying to communicate that's going to be quite challenging, especially if it's done by women. So I think a woman trying to educate someone from that culture to that they deserve more, I think is going to be really challenging. And for men, I think it's our responsibility um, to be able to do that that linking, that emotional conversation with those men. Because when they were actually taken to task on it, like, can you explain this on it? Can you explain why you think that's okay? None of them had a response. So I think it was a really great and scary insight into what the background of those cultures are, and also the multi-generational trauma that a lot of women will be experiencing about like not understanding what they're all having an idea about what their place is, but not realizing that they've got a greater potential that's there too. I think when women start to step out of that box, when they're really like they're suppressing their greatness, like women are amazing creatures and they have an insight into things that guys don't have. And I think it's a crime to keep them like using force or threats of violence or threats of their life to keep them down, to keep them suppressed in this box. I really feel like it's not fair. I think in civilization is being held back by that. Like in that culture might think that they're doing the best for what's their culture, but I really feel like they're missing out on what their their wives and daughters have to share. Like some beautiful insights, all kinds of stuff from poetry to different ways of looking at problems and solving things. How to connect with people. I feel they're missing out on this whole rainbow of of options. Anyway, I think it's important as men in the West to look at some of those values that we might have in us. We might not talk about it, but I think that it's there. Just it's not so in your face, but it would definitely there'd be aspects of that in our shadow, in our wanting to control, wanting to keep um, an organism down, wanted to try and control an organism because we don't know it. It's unsafe. It's a variable that we can't account for, and depending on how secure we are in who we are, it can be really challenging being critiqued by that, especially if you don't like who you are as a man, if you're ashamed of your masculinity, if you um, if you aren't able to stand in your own truth and be okay being a man, any woman that comes to criticize you will poke that wound, will poke you're not worthy of being a man. You haven't got the balls. You haven't done this. It's like it's all this stuff will bring up all this childhood fear around you not being man enough. So I think it's really important for men to try and to do this emotional work. And when we get to that stage where we can talk about what's going on in our heads and embrace the shadow and the darkness that we have, which we're going to have some of that stuff in our lives. The men that kill women today have got that feeling inside them that it's okay to hurt people if you don't get what you want. And I think that's really sad. And we in this day and age, the larger the population gets, the more radical the fringes get. But then also in the middle, you have a moderate which might accept it. It is the norm. It gets harder to try and negate the fringes the larger a population gets, but I don't think it's worthwhile. I think it's worthwhile that we at least try and focus on ourselves, because then when the middle is more sane and whole, then the edges will start to be more sane and whole. Well, that's what I think anyway. And people will be more willing to accept help and seek help if they're struggling with something. They don't need to go it on their own, which is a pretty classic male trait. So I will say that if we want to have a homogenous society, meaning we all work together and we don't have conflicting cultures that we continuously do battle against, I think to meet in that middle ground and embrace the freedom and equity that we really want, particularly equality of opportunity. I think men in the West doing their emotional work to help men of the East and men in the Middle East is very wise. Yeah, I think it would be wise if we did that. Otherwise, the culture clash will continue, and we will accept things in the name of wholeness that will be ethically flawed. So anyway, that's my rant. I'll post a link to that Twitter video in the description below. I think it'll be quite eye-opening for anyone that watches it too. So anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.